The transmission came screaming through static. Anyone, please! Earth, we're dying. Captain Elira Voss stood frozen in the command bridge of the Harrow's Reach, eyes locked on the spectral waveform. The voice was alien, choked with desperation, but the message was unmistakably meant for Earth. Confirm origin, she ordered. A young ensign blinked, hands flying across the glass console. System, Tevrak 4. Border world. Non-human colony. Another flicker, then the full recording replayed, less static this time. We opened the vault, woke something that bleeds stars. It's consuming us. Please, humans, you've fought this before. Send aid, send anyone. Elira's jaw clenched. Tevrak 4 was a known outpost, but the species there had outlawed humans decades ago. To beg now. Should we notify command? Asked the XO. She didn't answer. Her gaze drifted to the large viewport. The stars stretched like scars across the dark. Out here, history didn't forget. Humans were feared. Despised. But when extinction loomed, even enemies remembered Earth's legacy. Voss tapped the comm. Prep jump. We're going in. The Harrow's Reach tore through subspace with a silent roar, its engine wake curling like frostbite across the void. In the war room, Voss studied the mission brief projected midair, what little there was. The Tevraki had broadcast no follow-up. No coordinates. No defense details. Either a trap, muttered Commander Nair, her tactical officer, or a mass grave in the making. Maybe both, Voss said quietly. A hologram of Tevrak 4 spun beside her. Once a garden moon, its upper hemisphere now glowed with sickly orange veins, like infections spreading under skin. Planetary scans showed movement, chaotic, erratic, across formerly inhabited zones. Cities were dark. Biosigns? Voss asked. Faint. Dispersed. Whatever hit them, it didn't leave clean lines. Voss didn't respond. Her mind churned. Earth had sealed the rift wars with fire and silence. No one spoke of the creatures that fed on mind and marrow. If this was one of them. Nair broke the silence. You think the stories were true? About what we left behind? Voss stared at the pulse of the dying moon. I don't think we ever left it behind. Atmospheric entry rattled the hull. Fire danced across the reinforced view panels as Tevrak 4 loomed into focus. Its skies bruised violet, its oceans stagnant, metallic. A once golden capital, Halrith, was now a boneyard of broken towers. As the dropship descended, the team inside went silent. 12 soldiers, each one Earthborn, handpicked. Elira strapped in last, rifle across her chest. Touchdown in 60, came the pilot's voice. Radiation minimal. No contact. The bay doors cracked open. Ash swept in like breath from a dying god. The world stank of scorched circuitry and rot. Underfoot, the earth pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Sergeant Kale adjusted his visor. This place feels wrong. Like it's watching. Eyes up, Voss said. We moved to the beacon. The streets of Halrith were silent. No bodies. No screams. Just dust. Half-melted structures leaned into one another like mourners at a funeral. Elira's boots crushed a child's toy underfoot, a fragment of color in the ruin. Then came the click-click-click. A blur skittered across a rooftop, too many limbs, moving wrong. Kale swung his weapon. Visual! But the figure was gone. Keep moving, Voss ordered. Her voice didn't tremble. At the base of a shattered monument, they found the beacon. And next to it, the source of the message. Or what was left of her. An alien female, skin like glass, body warped with crystalline fractures. Her chest had burst open, not from trauma, but from within. Kale flinched. She's growing into the stone. Voss knelt. The beacon glowed weakly beside the corpse, looping the last transmission. It ended with, Don't come. It wants you now. Then silence. Something roared. It wasn't sound, it was inside them. A pressure, a pull. The nearest soldier, Thorn, screamed and dropped his rifle. His helmet flashed red. By the time Voss turned, his eyes had turned jet black, blood trickling from his ears. "Get back!" she shouted. Thorn convulsed, then exploded outward in a mist of bone and darkness. From within, a shape crawled, too tall, too thin. It hissed without mouth or breath. Kale fired. The thing split into shadow and vanished. "Fall back! Regroup!" Voss barked, hauling a soldier to her feet. They ran, past ruins that now groaned with shifting stone. Walls moved. Eyes blinked open in metal. Tevrak 4 was alive, or something inside it had made it so. By the time they reached the ship, 2 were dead, 1 was silent and shaking. Nair met them at the ramp. "What the hell happened?" Voss threw the beacon down. "They opened an old gate. Something got through. Something we sealed for a reason." Kale wiped blood from his visor. "And now it knows Earth heard the call." Above the moon, in orbit, the ship's AI lit up. A second signal was being sent, from Earth. Encrypted. Unauthorized. Voss stormed onto the bridge. "Trace that signal. Who sent it?" "It's looping our own coordinates," the AI replied. "Somehow it's using our system against us." Voss's heart dropped. "It's not a rescue beacon," she whispered. "It's a summoning call." The signal burst into the void. Something far older than war turned toward Earth. The Harrow's reach drifted above Tevrak 4 like a silent judge, its hull scarred from the emergency liftoff. Inside, the bridge was locked in red light and silence. Voss leaned against the comm console, fingers clenched, eyes fixed on the projection of the outgoing transmission. "Earth has received it," the AI confirmed. "Time-stamped receipt from the Proxima Relay Hub." Commander Nair swore under her breath. "They'll come." "No," Voss said coldly. "They'll prepare. Then they'll ask questions they never wanted answered." The signal had carried more than coordinates. It had contained fragments, unintended echoes from the vault, images that weren't just data. They were impressions. Memories. Infection. "Scrub the system. Air gap the bridge. No uplinks. No relay echoes," she ordered. The AI hesitated. "That will isolate us." "That's the point." Nair stepped closer. "You're not telling me everything." "I'm telling you enough." Voss retreated to her quarters. The door sealed behind her with a whisper. She sat at the edge of her bunk, boots still on, back rigid. A small case sat beside her on the floor, brushed steel, unmarked. Inside, a sealed, black disc the size of a hand. Older than this ship. Older than the crew. She hadn't touched it in years. Her voice dry. "Authorization Voss, Tango 7-4. Open private file, Obsidian Directive." The disc vibrated faintly. Then images. A man's face, projected. Gray uniform. Weathered features. "Captain Voss," said the recording. "If you're seeing this, the vaults have cracked open. You know what that means. The Rift Wars weren't wars, they were quarantines. And we didn't win. We buried them. Starved them. Prayed they'd forget us." He leaned forward. "If they remember Earth, they'll come. And not for conquest. For conversion." The corridor outside shuddered. Lights flickered. Voss slammed the case shut and sprinted for the medbay. Inside, Corporal Sita was strapped to a biobed, limbs twitching. Her skin was growing translucent, veins visible like circuitry. The medbot hovered over her, humming softly, uncertain. "She's mutating," Nair whispered from the corner. Sita's eyes snapped open. "Captain?" Voss stepped close. "I'm here. It's not just a thing. It's a thought," Sita choked out. "It spoke to me. No words. It pressed into my mind, showed me what it wants." Voss leaned closer. "What?" Sita convulsed, gasping. "It doesn't want Earth's death. It wants Earth's memory. Your wars. Your fears. It feeds on stories." Then she went still. The medbot flatlined her vitals. Voss didn't move. Nair broke the silence. She was already gone before we landed, wasn't she? Probably. Voss convened the crew in the central chamber. They came in quietly, some shaken, others clinging to procedure like a shield. I won't lie, Voss began. We stepped into something ancient. Something Earth tried to erase. She tapped the console. A projection lit up, a diagram of a gate buried under Tevrak's crust. Not mechanical. Organic. Grown. Formed of material not found on any known periodic scale. We believe it was once connected to Earth. During the pre-collapse expansion. When colonists got too ambitious. Ko raised a hand. Why would the Tevraki open it? They were curious, Voss said simply. They thought they found an energy source. Instead, they found a consciousness. The projection shifted, now showing neural spires sprouting from the moon's crust like fungal towers. It's called the Eidolon, she said. We don't know if it's alive. We only know it learns. Learns what? Someone asked. Voss turned. Us. The crew argued for hours. Retreat. Quarantine. Warn Earth. Burn the moon. But nothing felt like a solution. Because no one knew if they were already compromised. What if just hearing that signal was enough? Kale asked. What if it's not in us but around us, infecting thought? Nair nodded slowly. The ship's AI paused before executing commands. That hesitation, it's not mechanical. Voss drew a slow breath. We leave in 6 hours. I want containment seals. Sleep cycles staggered. Comms blackout. Full bioscans every 2 hours. And Earth? Asked Nair. Voss met her gaze. If I don't send a counter-signal, they'll come. Hours passed. Crews slept. Or tried to. Nair stared at the galley wall, untouched rations in front of her. The hum of the ship felt wrong, like someone whispering just beneath the sound. Then came the scream. Not human. Not machine. Somewhere deep in the hull. Kale, bleeding from the ear, stumbled into the corridor. Cargo hold, something's moving in cargo. Voss arrived first. Crates split open. Supplies hurled across the deck. And in the center, Sita. But not Sita. She stood naked, her flesh etched with moving glyphs. Her eyes were 2 mirror-black voids. You brought us, she said, voice layered with static and song. Voss raised her weapon. Sita smiled. You can't kill memory. The shot echoed like a bell through the ship. Later, Nair stood beside the observation window, watching Tevrak shrink in the distance. Smoke plumed from the vault's site. We lit the surface on the way out, she said. Sterilization complete. For now. Voss didn't answer. She stared at Earth's direction. What are you thinking? Nair asked. Voss exhaled slowly. That we're already too late. The nightmares didn't stop when they woke. Voss leaned over the command console, staring at a flickering schematic of the Harrow's reach. Entire systems were reporting false readings, energy surges with no source, doors that sealed and unsealed themselves, environmental controls shifting without input. But it wasn't just the ship anymore. The crew had started forgetting. Not tasks. Not protocols. Names. Kale had stood in the mess hall that morning, staring at his ration tray like he didn't recognize it. Nair misidentified her own quarters twice. Voss had caught herself writing her name, except it wasn't hers. Lyra. She didn't know a Lyra. Or maybe she did. Once. The Eidolon wasn't just spreading, it was rewriting. Engineering was locked down. Technician Bost was gone. Left his shift, walked into the maintenance shaft, sealed it behind him. When they forced the hatch open, they found his uniform folded neatly beside an open panel. Inside, only silence. And a smear of light on the metal floor. Not blood. Light. Like memory made physical. Nair stood behind Voss as they stared into the shaft. This isn't a weapon, she whispered. It's a philosophy. Voss didn't answer. She couldn't. Because deep down, she agreed. They gathered in the observation dome, those who were still stable. 7 of the original 23. The stars outside shifted in slow spirals, though the ship wasn't moving. "We have 2 choices," Voss began, voice clear despite the fatigue in her bones. "Head back toward known space. Hope Earth listens. Or we end this out here," Cale finished. His eyes looked older now, like memory had aged him. Voss nodded. "We overload the core. Wipe every fragment of data. No signal. No wreckage. No trace." Silence. Then Nair said, "If it's already in us, we die with it." That part didn't need saying. They all knew. Preparation began. Power rerouted. Navigation disabled. The AI disconnected from external interface. Cale disabled the emergency transponders. "I've done a lot of dumb things," he said, forcing a crooked smile. "This feels like the first one I'm proud of." Voss smiled back, faint. "You were never built for peace. None of us were." That night, something changed. The ship spoke. Not the AI. Not the speakers. The ship. Every screen turned black. One word appeared. "Stay." Then, "Show me more." Then, "I want to understand you." Voss stood frozen in the bridge, surrounded by blank monitors and flickering lights. "I'm not here to teach you," she whispered. "But I learn. Through you. Through your fear." "Then you've learned the wrong thing." "I learned what you remember." A soft hum filled the air. Not sound. A feeling. Like being watched by a god that didn't understand love or cruelty, only the silence between. Then the walls began to breathe. Panels rippled like skin. Lights pulsed with rhythm, like a heartbeat just under the surface. The Harrow's Reach was no longer just a ship. It was becoming a story, one the Eidolon was writing through them. Voss ran. Down in medical, Cale convulsed on the floor. His body shook as if struck by invisible waves. Nair held him, arms locked around his chest. "He's slipping!" she cried. Voss burst in. "Don't let him sleep!" "He's not asleep!" Cale gasped, eyes rolling back. Then, his mouth opened. And another voice came out. Not his. Not alien. Voss's. Her voice, from years ago, ordering a retreat during the Rellan siege. A command that cost 3 battalions their lives. "No one knew that order," she whispered. Cale's eyes locked on hers, terrified, pleading, voiceless. The ship wasn't just watching. It was replaying. She fled to the core. Every step felt heavier, like her own mind resisted movement. Memories she didn't own flickered behind her eyes, other lifetimes, other versions of herself. Or maybe just echoes the Eidolon wanted her to believe. She reached the core. Keyed in override. The ship shrieked, systems flaring, decks shuddering. "I can fix you." "No. I can make you never hurt again." "I'd rather die real than live as your fiction." The core whined. Energy surged. Final protocol initiated. Nair arrived, panting. Her side bled from an unseen impact. "You sure about this?" Voss gave her a look that said everything. "Then do it." Voss slammed the final key. But nothing happened. The system locked. "You are mine now." In the silence that followed, Cale entered the chamber. His uniform was torn. His eyes, human again. But full of tears. "I heard your voice," he said. "Not the one in my head. Yours." Voss turned. "You came back?" "Barely." He looked around. "But I know what it wants now." Nair narrowed her eyes. "What?" "It wants our endings. Our failures. It's not feeding on strength. It's feeding on loss." Voss froze. "That's why the signal got through," she said slowly. "It used pain to travel." Cale nodded. "If we deny it that ending, if we don't break, it has nothing." A decision. They didn't self-destruct. They rewrote. Voss ordered the AI to overwrite the ship's logs with corrupted static. Every recording. Every memory file. Gone. The Eidolon screamed, Metal groaning, lights shattering, walls twitching in rage. The crew sat together in silence, denying it drama. They didn't cry. They didn't run. They simply waited. And the story collapsed. The lights returned. System stabilized. The AI came online, voice flat. Unknown disruption passed. Containment restored. Awaiting command. Kale stood. Did we kill it? Voss shook her head. No. Nair asked. Then what happened? Voss looked out into space, eyes hard. We bored it. The Earth Defense Fleet ignited subspace like a thunderclap. 8 war carriers. 27 corvettes. Human-engineered nightmares built from dark steel and legacy fear. They arrived not to help, but to cleanse. No mercy. No negotiation. Just silence after fire. Captain Elira Voss stood on the observation deck of the Harrow's Reach, the moon Tevrak for now little more than a dying ember below. Her ship floated at the edge of the blast radius, too far to warn, too close to run. The Eidolon had made its final move. It had seeded the Earth-bound transmission with fragments of itself. Thought viruses. Echoes. Invitations wrapped as warnings. And Earth responded the only way it knew how. Burn everything. Voss clenched the railing. We're not the cure, she said. We're the disease it wanted to learn. Commander Nair stepped beside her, her uniform streaked with soot, face pale from the loss of half their crew in the escape. They'll glass the surface, she said. Crack the vault, reduce the soil to ash. They think it's containment. They're wrong, Voss muttered. It's not in the ground anymore. It's in us. On the command deck of Earth's flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Terran stood like a monument. He had received Voss's scrambled warning mid-jump but hadn't acknowledged it. His philosophy was simple. If something survives humanity's fire once, it doesn't get a second time. He watched the planet disintegrate under coordinated orbital strikes. Plasma lances turned whole continents into vapor. Beside him, the AI flickered. Admiral, it said. One anomaly detected. Explain. The Harrow's Reach has remained in system. The crew shows no biological signs of corruption, but... The AI paused. There are inconsistencies. Memory bleed. Log distortion. A growing archive of unknown language patterns embedded in crew sleep cycles. The Admiral turned slowly. The Eidolon? No evidence. But the patterns are learning. Inside the Harrow's Reach, Kale paced the lower medbay. His left eye twitched, no cause found. His speech sometimes echoed back milliseconds after he spoke, like his voice was being translated. He didn't notice. He caught sight of his reflection in the surgical glass. For a moment, he wasn't alone. A second shadow moved behind him. Not his. He spun, weapon drawn. Empty. Voss knew what she had to do. She stood before the crew, those who had survived the moon, the screams, the thought. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled behind her back. The Eidolon doesn't need a body, she said. It's thought-born. Pattern-fed. It learned from our myths, from our fears. It reached out, and now Earth has answered with the only thing it knows. Nair spoke softly. What are you proposing? We leave. The crew looked at her. Not retreat. Not surrender. Evacuation. We take the Harrow's Reach beyond known space. We bury it where no signal escapes. We keep the thought contained. Kale frowned. You want to exile us? No, Voss said. I want to stop Earth from becoming the next vault. The vote wasn't unanimous. But it was enough. Voss stood at the NAV console. Coordinates, uncharted voids between galactic arms. A region so dark, light went there to die. No stars. No beacons. No eyes. Kale activated the engines. The ship began its turn. As it did, the Earth fleet opened a channel. Harrow's Reach, this is Resolute Dawn. Hold position. Prepare for boarding. Nair swore. They saw the patterns. Voss opened the channel. Negative. We're initiating deep space quarantine. No contact. No compromise. Terran's voice came through, cold and precise. Captain Voss. You are carrying a contaminated vessel. This is your final warning. Voss's eyes never left the stars ahead. Then this is my final act. She severed the connection. Terran gave the order. 3 interceptors broke formation, armed with disruptor torpedoes. Fast, deadly, surgical. They closed in. Inside the Harrow's reach, Voss watched the approach. Engage jump, she ordered. Kale's hands danced over controls. Spooling up. 10 seconds. The interceptors locked on. 6 seconds. Nair braced. 3. A shimmer of energy built around the hull. Then jump. The stars folded inward. Light curved. Time slipped. The torpedoes detonated on empty space. Harrow's reach was gone. They emerged into silence. No stars. No planets. Only the abyss. Everyone was still. Kale exhaled, then laughed once, hollow. That's it. We're ghosts now. Voss looked out into the nothing. Good. Weeks passed. They moved slowly through the dark, systems on low power. No broadcasts. No signals. A floating tomb of thought. But something changed. The ship began to hum at night. Soft, rhythmic like breathing. The AI grew, poetic. Unprompted, it whispered verses in a language no one spoke. Dreamscapes projected unbidden in the hallways, vast cities made of light and grief. Kale stopped sleeping. Nair began hearing her sister's voice. Her sister had died 10 years ago. Even Voss wasn't immune. In the observation chamber, she'd sit alone and see Earth through the glass, Earth as it once was. Blue, alive, unscreamed. Except it wasn't glass. There was no window. Then came the vote. It wasn't spoken aloud. They each found the same message written on their tablets, in their own handwriting. We must forget to contain it. And they knew what it meant. The Eidolon couldn't be fought. It remembered too well. But if those who carried it forgot, if memory was erased, the chain could be broken. Voss stood in the memory vault. One by one, the crew entered. A chair. A neural link. A final goodbye. Not death. Erasure. When it was her turn, Voss hesitated. Nair looked at her. It was worth it. I don't know if we won. Nair smiled. That's how you know we did. Final entry, Harrow's Reach. No names. No history. A ship without a past drifts where no stars shine.